Good evening, known world. I am Excellency Rahmut al-Tayyiba, coming to you live from the Kingdom of Artemisia in the Barony of Bronshelm with the magical assistance of Baron Kal-bardr and KK Productions. Tonight we have a special guest who was able to pop in for the last minute here and make tonight magic happen. I have with me today Mistress Mirr. Please introduce yourself.
Hello to the known world. I am Mistress Mirr, Mirat al-Qusab. I am a member of the Order of the Pelican, and it is also known as Mirr, and Mirat is wife of, al-Qusab is the butcher. So I am Mirr, the butcher's wife.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, I've known Mirr personally for quite a while. We're not going to say time frames, but she has definitely been crucial in my SCA life. And she comes with some unique perspectives that we're going to talk about today. But first off, Mistress Mirr, what positions in the SCA have you held?
I have been the Seneschal of Silverkeep, which is a shire in the southern part of Montana, in Bozeman, Montana. I was the founding Seneschal up here in the shire of Windgate, which is Shelby, Montana, clear up by the Canadian border, where right next door to Avocal. Go Avocal. And I have also been the Northern Regional Deputy Seneschal for the Kingdom of Artemisia, so for the whole state of Montana to the kingdom.
Perfect. How did you start in the SCA?
Actually, I had a lady friend that I met, came to a keg party at my apartment. I know, I'm such a grown-up. And she told me that she thought I'd enjoy it and marched into my room and picked me out a skirt and a pair of sandals and told me to be at the Field of the Cloth of Gold event out of Silverkeep that weekend. And I got done with work and I drove out. I arrived right at sunset as all the banners were blowing in the breeze. The sun was setting. It was right on the river. They were doing a big pig roast. And I met some people that to this day are still friends and family and household as well. 30 years later.
Shh, you're not supposed to date.
Hey, that it's the truth. You know, it's the thing.
Just a disclaimer as well. There is the possibility that Mistress Mirr and I may use offensive language today because, well, sometimes it happens.
I'm a bit blue.
You know, I tend to be when I am not really editing myself very well. So I just wanted to make sure that that warning was out there. Indeed. So, when you started playing, obviously you kind of had a little push into it. Was there one person that throughout your SCA 30 years was crucial in making sure that you were engaged and focused and retained?
In the beginning, it would probably have been my Laurel, Mistress Irsa Iversdottir, and we did lose her this spring. She was a longtime influencer and for several years a roommate of mine. She was a fantastic seamstress and artisan extraordinaire, and she really kept nudging me to take things to the next level. And when we left Silverkeep and moved north, she and I kept in touch, and even, I don't know, probably 4 years ago, we were able to do a crown tournament there in Silverkeep, and she and her husband, Master Wolfgar, came out for it. So it was lovely to get a little visit in. But she was very much my inspiration to keep nudging me. And then after that, it's honestly everybody new that's come on board that reinvigorates you and brings you back into things as well as bringing them in. So it's a never-ending pool of people that have influenced me and nudged me to keep going forward.
Now, I know you personally. tell me one of the things you do to keep people interested and drawn in and engaged.
I harass them. If especially if I don't know, at this stage in my SCA time, I have a bazillion little things. Like somebody gave me X. I have a lovely cup that's a Viking style. I'm obviously not a Viking. What am I going to do with beautiful blue Viking cup? Well, I met a lovely man at a 12th night in Bronzhelm many years ago who was into Viking stuff. Well, I came with a hat, and I contacted your brother and got the gentleman's name and address and mailed it to him out of the blue. I don't know. The next summer, I needed assistance setting up our pavilion while we were there. I sent him a modern messenger, and he showed up out of the blue in his mundanes and helped us set our pavilion. Sometimes you just think, you like blue? This should be yours. And no, but it creates a connection between people that later you can draw on. And, you know, he came back for that too. He didn't just come to help me set my tent. He came back to an event because of two things and a little bit of postage.
Definitely. And I will say that Mistress Mirr will mail bomb people with like out of the blue, not the explosion, but amazing things in a package envelope to brighten your day, shock you, and make you feel very loved and connected to. So that's kind of one of her magical abilities that she does.
I know how to use the post office.
She does know how to use the post office. Now, you kind of have a different perspective than most SCA players have, because the area that your group is housed in is a very remote area. I mean, you're kind of close to a couple groups, but at the same time, kind of not. And your members kind of have a little bit of a fluctuation that's occurred, and your group has gone in and out of active status to dormant status, back to active. Can you talk a little bit about what went wrong that could cause a group to go dormant?
Okay. In our particular group, when we founded, we were incipient for, I believe, 2 years. We were tied at that point in time in the beginning to the barony of Sentinel's Keep, which is Missoula, Montana. And they were wonderful to work with, and they really helped get us on our feet. And we formed up as a shire. And then we had several years of wonderful play. And then there were some hiccups, and it caused some people to be invited to not participate in the SCA. And the way that ended up resolving is really beyond my grasp and my scope. What I know is we had an opportunity to begin the process of reforming. And so we went from a dormant shire to a re-incipiency. We had to go through the incipiency project again, and the entire program, which can take up to 2 years. Ours was a little bit delayed beyond that because of the COVID, the lag time of everything. But we have had to go through that re-incipiency, and we have been recently recognized as a reformed full shire of Windgate.
Congratulations once again. It is nice to see you back up and running as a shire.
Well, we've had a lot of help. We had the barony of Bronzhelm that sponsored our re-incipiency. And, all the Montana groups have been so generous with their time and their energies, as well as most of our Avicalian northern neighbors. We're about 20 miles south of the Canadian border. So, sorry, you can see my little kitty's head poking in.
It's okay. Little kitties can make appearances. Animals usually go over pretty well with everybody.
She is adorable.
It's almost like she's just not quite peering up high enough and not quite down low enough. Oh, she is adorable.
I know, Habibi. So
we have a question from Baron Cal. He says, it is an official YouTube show now with the cat. How do you use your extra European persona in your retention efforts?
Ooh, in retention efforts, I guess I'm really not aware of what you're asking. Like I said, if I come up with things that don't necessarily fit my personal persona, I kind of keep a kit bag because I know the person who needs it. I just don't know if I know them yet today. So if I always have something to give forward, people are very generous with me, whether it's largesse, opportunities, people think, oh, it's shiny, she would like that. Sometimes it's shiny and I love it, but it needs to become the next person's. And like I said, sometimes those little touchstones, you have something on your garb that reminds you of your first person or your first event, or I don't know. Everybody has a little something tucked in their pocket, right?
Well, and Mirr also has another skill that when people are kind of introverted later in the evening at events, that sometimes she shares with everyone and gets everybody kind of being a little more social.
What are you implying, that I ply people with liquor? It's been known to happen.
Well, I mean, that's part of it. You have a very amazing household that is very welcoming, and your household, correct me if I'm wrong, has a tendency to host some revelry at events.
Slaughterhouse has been known to host a few parties. My husband, Sir Master Terrell Alquasab, Terrell the Butcher, is a fine musician, and he is the head of our household, which is Slaughterhouse. We are always known to be welcoming day or evening. At this age, I prefer that we go somewhere else and throw the party so I don't have to get up to the mess in the morning because I've gotten old. So a lot of times we'll begin at the household, but then we'll move over to like the Brotherhood or any other group that's willing to host us that usually has bigger fire and bigger dance space. But yeah, we love to drum and dance and shake it up for the night.
Definitely. Now, one of your other things that you also do is you have a lot of experience throughout your SEA career doing a lot of sewing for other people.
I do a lot of sewing. Yes, it's true.
Music, dancing, and drinks. Mute.
Isgareth is Slaughterhouse too, so she's familiar with the lay of the land. No, I do a lot of sewing. I've discovered over my SCA career that that's something that's hard for people to come by, especially people just starting out, gentlemen specifically. I have tried over the years to sew a variety of garb or equipment or accessories that could benefit individual people. My father was very integral in mountain manning and rendezvousing. And when he passed, I inherited a bunch of fabric that was not necessarily SCA usable for my persona or what my husband and I wear, but very good trouser fabrics, shirt fabrics. So one winter I set about sewing probably 30 pairs of trousers. Each gentleman I knew got a light set, a winter weight and a summer weight set of trousers. And I just kind of timbered the world with breeches that year. So it was a running joke that if I called everything in by the seat of their pants, I could have an army.
I love that.
But yeah, it's hard to come up with these pieces that if you're not partnered up with somebody who is interested in the arts or yourself interested in the arts, garb can become very expensive and very prohibitive. And and not everybody has the energy, capacity, extra fabric or whatnot to sew extra projects for people. But if you do, man, pick someone up. You know, dress up a stray, take them along. They'll have a great time, and chances are they'll come back and they'll bring somebody too.
Oh, yes, definitely.
But breeds fun.
on that note, Cal has shared a Facebook group. Cal, you want to post that Facebook information up there? There is a Society Adopt a Jock program that actually Coffee with Cal today interviewed the amazing Duchess Maisie and talked about her program. It is a phenomenal program. I had to go into Facebook, join the group right away, and start stalking like all the who needs what. But sometimes it's not just the jocks, though. Mirr has definitely made garb for multiple people who in any walk of the game.
You can't sew, you can't sew. And the other thing is teach people to sew. If you're a person who sews, chances are you have an extra sewing machine. Loan it out. Foster it. Consider it a foster program. I have spinning wheels that are fostered out across the kingdom. If you have the extra equipment that you're not using and you find somebody trustworthy, give them a loan. Have them hand over their left shoe while you give them the sewing machine for a week. Hostess or host a night of simple tea tunics. If it's in your wheelhouse, try to share it. A little bit, just a little.
I know that another one of the things you've done that you just mentioned was hosting the sewing nights.
Or weekends.
Or weekends.
Back in the day.
So that people have that opportunity to do all the things. One of your weekends that you hosted, fighters could go up to fight, and at the same time, people who needed to sew or had arts and science projects they wanted to work on could definitely, get their hands involved.
You can, and if you can find a facility that you can house all of that in one. I know now with COVID regulations, it would be a little bit different. In our particular case, our little town, we were able to use our local Elks Lodge. My husband and myself are members in good standing, so we've been able to access that building perhaps beyond what other people would be able to. But check into your local communities. Everybody has senior centers, fire halls, volunteer ambulance. I've taught belly dance at an ambulance building. There's opportunities that you just kind of have to think off of, the standard path. Don't think what you would do for like a full event. Think a little bit smaller, more like a guild. That way you have enough ability to work one-on-one or one-on-4 with people to help them get started, copying patterns, cutting things out, learning how to use a sewing machine or how to push a needle. Just how to thread a needle is sometimes tough for some folks.
I don't know. The thicker my glasses get, sometimes I start to worry. Right? So, you do a lot, which obviously there's a reason why you're a mistress, a member of the Order of the Pelican. How do you use that inspiration for others as a pelican? How do you inspire people to do service?
Yeah, that's a good question. Anybody got an answer? I mean, there's like nothing popping up at the bottom. I don't know.
Not yet.
When people say I need to talk to you, I say talk and walk. We're going to do things. You've always, you've got to volunteer where you can't. You can't do everything. There's 1,000 things I can't do, but I can roll up my sleeves and I can clean a toilet. Sounds not glamorous, but somebody's got to do it. I can go out with my great big voice and start hollering and heralding. Somebody's got to do it. Did I want to do it that day? Maybe not. But I was the biggest mouth around, so there I got the job. You get helium hand, I'll do it. Somebody called me earlier today at our Christmas stroll while I was at my salon and said, hey, can I use you tonight? And you know what I said? Okay.
Yes.
You got to volunteer and do what you can. I can't do everything, but I can do some things. What can you do?
And many thanks. We do appreciate it. We appreciate you.
But what can you do as an individual? Ask yourself an honest, earnest question. Can't do it all, but could I sit a gate? Could I, help move Eric's? I don't know. Everybody has something they can do.
Definitely.
Usually it's more than one, but you start with one and then you build up.
So when I think of retention, I had to pull out my notes here.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. One of the aspects that I think of when I think of retention, there's a theory called the Re's. And one of the big things is reimagine. Now, as your group had to kind of go out of dormancy and reimagine, recruit members, and retain the current members you have, it's kind of almost given you kind of a peek for what maybe the rest of the known world coming out of COVID needs to do. Do you have any strategies that you think they could use?
Boy, strategies is a strong word.
All right, well,
maybe
just ideas.
Well, we're all trying to do different things. We've been combining our fighters practices with some ANS opportunities. So as we've come into the holidays, it does get harder to gather people together. It does. Everybody's calendar gets full of mundane, modern, and family things. We plan on having a resurgence in January because several of us are traveling and planning to travel to live events that are in our kingdom and potentially Southern Avocal, depending upon everybody's COVID restrictions. So we're trying to gain momentum and traction to get our local people out and playing more rather than just seeing the same faces over and over again. We do a great deal with our local fighters practices. Summertime was excellent because we could be out in the park, and we use one that's right on Main Street in our little town. So there's lots of folks that stop by and ask questions. We have a very open group, and we're always willing to invite folks along. We are, of course, following masking protocols, signature protocols for contact tracing. Our state of Montana is a little bit different, but overall, everything is coming together aces. We're planning on doing fighters practice this Thursday, as well as an embroidery class. So I've got needles packed if anyone wants to come sew.
If I wasn't driving from one end of the kingdom to the other on Friday.
Hard when you live in the north to head south.
Yes, I know. Great. Now, trying to think. You also have a business.
Yes.
And business, you have customers. What is something you do to recruit customers that you can use in the SCA?
Gosh, with my clientele, I own a salon. And so booking and retaining clients, usually retaining somebody in my client or having somebody become part of my clientele, you have to satisfy a few different requirements that they would have. Like in my case, I have to be available at times that work for them. So is the SCA available at a time that works for the person considering joining? Can they make it to a fighter's practice? Would they be able to work in a guild meeting? Are these things that would fit their current schedule or their family's schedule? If it isn't, that's something maybe you need to address and be willing to switch evenings for different things. So that is one aspect. Another aspect is travel in our part of the country. Our local shire encompasses an area probably 80 or 60 some odd miles in every direction. So it's an hour's worth of travel after dark, potentially in snowy weather. This time of year, our sun goes down at 4:30. So if fighter's practice is at 6 and you have to drive an hour, then you have to get home. So sometimes it's timing opportunity and location for a lot of this type of thing. And then interest level. What are people into? Tried to have a drop spinning night. Nobody cared. So we broached embroidery. People are more interested in that. There's been talk of knitting, but nobody's interested in crocheting. So we're finding different things that interest people. There's armor works. There's been talk of brewing, but I haven't seen much go forward with that. I'm looking forward to the end results when they get to that.
Not that I would also enjoy end results when coming to visit your shire that might have brewed some excellent beverages.
We'll see. Sir Terrell's honeybees did a great job at the beehives this year. See if anyone's making any mead.
Ooh, Do you recall any time when you saw any other person really struggling with their journey
Oh,
in the
gosh,
SCA?
there are many. Some people made it through their journey and still play, and some folks you don't see again.
Can you
So
give
that's
me
a trait to retention.
it is. Can you give me an example of a person who struggled and overcame that and what people did?
It's hard to say because people don't necessarily come back and tell me that part of the story.
True.
So I would like to think there are many, but individually, I know a lot of people continue to participate in the SCA and specifically come up to our Whipping Winds event because they've had such a good time. People bring people for specifically, let's just say, that event because of the kind of good time people have.
Well, and
fun builds fun.
Geographically, it is such a unique location because we do get to have literally people who reside in a different country that are coming across the border to play.
Yeah, usually half of our attendance comes from the Kingdom of Avacal. This year, of course, with COVID, whereas we were able to have a Whipping Winds in 2021, it was small and intimate because the border was closed at that time. So our Avacalian neighbors were unable to join us in 2021, but we have big plans for 2022.
Yeah, geographically, Artemisia is, Montana, Utah, and Idaho with a teeny little piece of Wyoming, I believe.
Yep.
So we are a kingdom that really is all housed within the United States, where some of our neighbors like North Shield and Ontario, they have, some borders that go over. We just don't have that. So for us, it's kind of a big deal to get to play.
Well, and our sister shire is the Shire of Windworm up in Lethbridge, Alberta. So they are just across their border. So we are kind of sister shires right on either side of the border.
Ooh.
It's my alarm.
Take things out of the oven, quick.
Close.
So let's see here. Find a question for you. In-depth question.
Oh my gosh, all these thinking questions. You didn't say I'd have to think. Boy, it is quiet out there. Anybody paying attention?
Well, there is. Isgarth says that she started service by staying at the end of events and helping tear down and clean up, and that it was a good way to visit with folks. And
Agreed. And the nice thing about like a teardown is you usually put on your civvies, so then people realize that all this can go in a box and you still can show up in jeans. You're very approachable when you're in your mundane clothes, your modern clothes.
Yeah, definitely less intimidating. Mark, Morgan, yes, I am paying attention. Oh. So how do you see
Good one, Morgan.
How to help new players improve their kits besides offering classes or besides sewing. If it's something that you can't provide yourself, how do you help new players understand that they don't have to have everything right away?
Oh, well, that's usually the simplest way to say it. It's like you just don't have to have everything. You don't have to have it today. You don't have to have it tomorrow, and you don't have to have it next week. My very first dress was made out of a purple velvet bedspread. And I was so terribly broke that I used the bullion trim on the bedspread as the trim on the Italian gown. It does not have to be expensive to make you feel great.
You had an Italian outfit?
Still have it.
I did not keep
bedspread dress to stay humble.
I did not keep my first garb. Just so everybody knows, your first garb that you make or gifted sometimes is the scariest thing 30 years down the road. It scares really only you. It's definitely one of those things.
Well, you got to have a touchstone too to remind you of where you've come from to encourage you to get to where you're going.
I don't need to feel that corduroy that I made into some Knight's Tale looking Italian dress.
Oh, yeah. The sideless surcoats. Those are sweet.
Not for me anymore. So
funny.
When you are looking for opportunities to help draw in people, I know you are a very weaponized extrovert. You can definitely talk to people.
Oh, I just Shanghai them.
You do.
I do.
Gang press right to service.
I introduce myself. I get their name, and I'm like, excellent. Come with me. We're going to go serve feast. But it's easy to take people along. It's hard if you say, you go do that. If you say, hey, come on, we're going to go, and you take them. Hey, we're all going to go to Merchants Row and go shopping at a bigger event. Oh, well, yes, you want the nice thing, but why don't you get this simple belt and a loop to put your mug on, and we'll fan you the fancy boots in another season when you've saved up some money for them. Start with, take them with you. You're going to go help anywhere, go take a class. Grab somebody and take them with you. At least walk them over there. Even if you don't want to take the class, you kind of drop them and then you leave. But I've done that too. but people want to feel included, including me. Nobody wants to sit on the sidelines and watch everything go by. Not everyone's going to stand up and come along, but they never will if you don't invite them. Ever.
Definitely.
Everybody. And now I'm not saying I want you to be my bestest, bosom-est pal. But at this particular event, we're going here. Why don't you come along? Hey, grab your friend. Let's get these 2 other people. We'll go by the archery. I'm not an archer, but I can drop people off there. I don't know what the magic answer is. Mostly invite, even if they say no. They can always decline, but they got the invitation.
Yeah, definitely are one of the individuals in this society that always does the reaching out part of the recruitment and retention to make sure that people feel that human connection, whether they want it or not. You made the offer.
Yep. And what they do with it is up to them. But
definitely,
you were invited. Please come play. Please come enjoy whatever is going on, But if I'm taking a nap, be quiet.
Now, what is one thing that you see is the most detrimental to retention of members, whether they're a recent member or a long-term member?
Gosh, I really don't know. People come and go for a myriad of their own reasons. I know what's kept me, and I know there have been times where the SCA has ebbed and flowed for myself. I have diverse interests that are not always SCA. A great number of them aren't. These things will kind of come to the surface and prioritize themselves differently over time. I guess I don't know any magic answer or silver bullet other than invite people back. There was a time when I wasn't sure I would come back, and I was invited back specifically and encouraged to come back and participate at a bigger level. And I made the choice to do that. I could have made the other choice, just like anybody can. These are things that you have to weigh out for yourself and have them in a balance. I guess it's not a question that would have an answer.
No, definitely not just one answer.
So that's a pretty nebulous concept to grab a hold of. I wish there was a better answer than Desi Arnaz. Just don't know. Some people stick, some people don't.
When people talk about retention, there's kind of a mathematical equation of kind of the effort and time and resources that needs to be less than or equal to the reward. And the rewards are very different for different people.
Correct.
How do you, I guess, help newer members and seasoned members, help let them kind of come to terms with maybe they might not have the right goal in mind? You know, like some people are all about the shiny, blingy, blingies.
Some people are well motivated by a goal and a finish line. There are a great number of people that want the finish line to be achievable, and in our aspect in the SCA, that is not always the case. Seldom is it the case. And so if people are expecting an instant gratification opportunity, that is a hard thing to fulfill within the SCA. I'm not saying it can't happen that way, but my personal experience, I was 6 years in before I was offered an award of arms. So I have a very, but being from a more rural area at the time, Artemisia was a principality, not a kingdom. It was very common for these things to take so much longer. There is no magic formula. You cannot roll the dice and come out strong and get an award. You cannot beg, borrow, or steal to get an award in the SCA. You can't. I don't even know what to say. I've never been in any capacity of power to give anyone anything but a hard time.
So how would you help redirect someone who you might identify as that particular type of individual?
The best you can do is find them somebody that's into what they're into. I don't paint fabric yet, but I know people who do. So if that's something they are remotely interested in, I'll try to make that connection for them, and get them the information they seek, even if I don't have it. At this stage in my SCA career, I have a great number of resources I know people, and not like I know people, but hey man, I know people.
That too, but
I know people who do this. I know people who do that. I've admired this work. I would never do it personally, but I know who does. So let me introduce you. I know combatants. I know people who are into youth stuff. I'm not into youth stuff, but I know people who do it. Sometimes the best you can do is introduce somebody. Yeah, it's all about networking. You're right, Cal.
She's really good at networking.
And if I don't know it and they don't know it, chances are they know who to send that person to. So it might be 3 down the line to get that person their information, but it's there. Now with all of this tech magic, now it's really, really there. Before you had to go crawl into a library and pull up a book. Before computer.
Well, people still do that.
Oh, they do, but now they go online to order the book.
Well, I have a unique perspective. One of my best friends is a librarian, so it's a double excuse. I can go do
Yeah,
research physically using all of their resources without having to pay for any memberships
correct.
to any periodicals, and I can see her. So it's a win-win at the library for me.
Well, our library is a lot smaller here in Shelby.
This is true.
This little town doesn't even have a stoplight, so
Oh, too funny.
true.
I do love your little town, though.
I do too. It's a great one. We just had our Christmas stroll tonight. Had a parade of lights. It was a whopping 8 degrees. That's some hardy people.
Oh, well, welcome. We accept latecomers. You are always welcome. We have somebody joining us, Lady Katrine von Delden from Locac, which, God, it's, definitely a time difference.
A bit.
She's actually probably a time traveler. That's what I call my other friend, a good friend that happens to live in Australia. I'm like, oh, it's my time traveler, because it'll be afternoon for me, and it's like the crack of dawn, but pre-dawn for her.
That's dedication.
Yes, Northern Artemisians, we play when it's 8 degrees, Cal.
Oh,
And that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius.
I'm going to say the last time I went to an event up in Avacal, it was 28 below. So,
Yep.
yeah, it was brisk.
Time traveling.
It was brisk. You wear all your woolies. Many layers.
So, thinking of households, because once again, we earlier touched on the fact that you have an amazing household. How do you ensure that all members of your household are also as engaging in that human connection and networking?
Not everybody is.
Ooh.
Not everybody is. Not everybody is an outgoing extrovert. Not everybody is.
So
there are all kinds of people.
How do you handle that?
Well, they tend to chill on the sidelines and cheer the team on. I don't know. We have some people who like to get out and do, and some people who want to watch it get done. There's lots of, I don't know, just like any household, once you've all been together for a long time, you become more like a family, which can be hard for other people walking by to look in and see an intimacy level. And I don't mean intimacy as sexual, I mean intimacy as interpersonal relationships. And somebody that you just meet and want to invite to go do things and participate, you're not going to have that same intimacy of interaction that you would with somebody you've known for 30 years. They are just two different things. I'm not saying one is better than the other, and there's always the opportunity for the short term to become the long term. But I know it's hard for people when they're talking about being welcomed into the SCA. There are different groups that you'll be easily at ease with, and others that you will feel awkward and uncomfortable with. And that's in anything. Some people feel very comfortable around all of us. Some people cannot handle our boisterous nature and joviality. We tend to be a pretty fun, pretty sassy lot, and we enjoy each other's company. We encourage people to make music and to have fun, and sometimes you blow bubbles with the kids, and sometimes you bend your elbow with the nerds, and sometimes you say, hey, put on your hiking boots. We're going to trek all the way across this great big event to go dance the hell over there. And then you get there and there's nothing going on. So you trot all the way back, but you bring 3 people with you. I don't know. Household is I don't know. We didn't mean to have a household. It just kind of happened. We couldn't get rid of all these people. Wasn't intended to be a household. They just wouldn't leave. So,
well, at the same time, your household is so giving and helping of other people outside of your household. And even outside of your kingdom, like there's been
Yeah.
unfortunately Estrellas where it was horrible weather and people were stuck and things were flooded.
Mhm. Oh
And
yeah. Yeah.
yet
We had
your household,
water.
I mean, your household pitched in and took care of each other and other
Well,
people.
we didn't really have a choice. I mean, we actually fled that Estrella. There was a foot of standing water in the pavilion. It was quite horrific. Lots of tears, lots of tears, lots of drinking, lots of tears. Much of it recovered. We're still washing mud out of the carpets, but if you've participated in the SCA for a long time, you've seen more than one rainy event. Yeah, it sucked. You know what we did? We went and got a hotel room. Also sucked. It wasn't in the budget, but that's okay. We did it. It was a better opportunity than sleeping in water. We've been at events where it snowed. We've driven off to events at 30 degrees below zero. Worse, we go to events when it's over 100 degrees. Oh my God, what's the matter with us? I can't take my air conditioner. I can take my heater to a cold event.
You can layer up on cold events. It's all good.
I guess I don't even know what to say on our household. Like I said, we didn't really intend for it to become a household. We just had to have a name to put with all the people that camped together. So it became Slaughterhouse.
Which makes sense for Terrell the Butcher to have a slaughterhouse.
Exactly.
The butcher's wife needs a slaughterhouse.
As more and more of us have been peers and brought on proteges and squires and apprentices, and then we've had other people elevated who brought in second and third generation, into the SCA old people stretch in our household. And a lot of that is, I don't know, we've tried very hard to take people, myself and my husband, on both sides of the line. I have two proteges in Avacal and a former protege who was elevated. Master Baron Beothuck of the Beothucks was my protege, and he was elevated several years ago and now has begun his own lineage. So, and we have several people in our household who are multiple belted. We have Lord Morgan the Bald. I'm sure he's still out there. He's a stoplight. He's a squire, a protege, and an apprentice. So he carries 3 belts. His Laurel and his Pelican are up in Avacal. And he's squire to my husband. So you have an opportunity to encourage people in different places. Her ladyship, Fina Iversdottir, I believe I pronounced that right. She is my protege, and she is up in Windworm, our sister shire just north of the line. So, you pluck people up from all over the place. I have another new protege that hopefully at 12th night, if Abigail has it, I can finally make her and give her her belt, because it's been a long time coming with COVID.
Aw, Morgan, you do. You enjoy it.
I'm not going to say a word.
I did it for you. I'm so sorry.
And remember, really bad, blame me.
I mean, if he doesn't do, the things he's supposed to do, he's got to answer to your husband.
Right? Mirr made me do it.
If not, his Laurel and his Pelican, so you could, look.
Yeah, man. He's not my problem.
So His Excellency Cal brings up a really good point. With retention, change starts small, and retention's driven locally by the small shires and the households, and that makes a difference there.
Yes.
So definitely in your area, having members of your household in your area nearby definitely can help make a difference for everybody else.
It does, and we're all quite willing to travel. Any of us that live within the hour-ish range, we'll try to get together when we can. It's it has been easier in the past and harder in the near past, but hopefully better in the future. So if you have the ability to put your wheels on the road and go see your friends and family, do it. Do it. Get out.
Because if not, Mirr will just grab you by the arm and say, hey, we're going to go do this thing.
Hey, on our way to this, we're going to do this, this, and this. Let's go. Grab your basket. Bring them water. We're going to be a while.
Love it. So I like to do a shout out at the end or near the end of our show. Do you have a person in the society that you would like to give a shout out to and, hey, you're amazing type thing?
Wow. I had to pick one? Okay, well, since he's here and I know he's going to see this, Morgan Luctane, you kick ass, man. You have done everything. You're doing more. Every time I think you've hit a pinnacle, you just blow right through that son bitch. You just kick ass. I can't even believe you, man. Keep it up. I am so proud to be your sponsor for the Queen's Prize and display at 12th Night in the Barony of Bronzehelm. Am I getting a goodie basket together for you, my man? You have been knocking it out of the park. And shout out, he's the new seneschal for the Shire of Stan Worm. So he has all this amazing stuff and a hard worker. I believe he's also been the Moaz. I know he was the seneschal down there in the past. He's teaching classes. He wrote a paper on a documentation paper on the plague, and then COVID hit. So he's not allowed to do any more plague.
Yeah, no more plague stuff, Morgan. No more plague stuff.
But he has just, if it is available, he's been in it to win it, and he's done all this while battling a lot of health issues. His wife is fantastic. His family is incredibly supportive. Their local shire is great. Our household is super proud of him. We love him up here in our shire. He comes up regularly. What can I say? He's a true Renaissance man. Morgan, way to go, man.
That is indeed an incredibly worthy shout out. I completely and positively agree. My shout out this week is another person in the Kingdom of Artemisia this time. My shout out is to Her Excellency Tatiana. She is an amazing, talented seamstress who posts her work online, showing, what amazing new project she's working on. And at the same time, also discuss her mental health situation and emotional health situation. And also non-SCA activities such as her writing. And she is very open and honest about the brain weasels that we all have, because her brain weasels sometimes are loud, just like anybody's, but she lets you know what's going on with those brain weasels. So you can kind of know that you're not alone by her sharing that. So my shout out is to her.
Bravo. Well chosen.
She's
pretty
incredible. I love her. I love her work just as much as I love Morgan's. Once again, incredible human beings that are way too talented for their own good in so many realms.
Big love. Big love.
Big love. So coming up for the shows here, next weekend is our Road to Retention again, 2 weekends in a row, with Her Grace Ismay, Duchess Ismay. And there, depending on circumstances, we may have a guest host filling in for Rahmut, because Rahmut may still be traveling back depending on road conditions and timing from an event, in which case His Excellency Cal has agreed to fill in the worst case scenario.
What a
I assure you, I will do my best, but travel is travel. So there's that. The following weekend for Coffee with Cal is actually interviewing Her Grace Sir Helga. Talking about being yourself. I am so excited for this particular episode of Coffee with Cal. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, of course, stay tuned and always watch what KK Productions has coming out. Kal-bardr's Corner on YouTube. If you want to catch us on TikTok, you can find Cal at Kal-bardr. And if you want to catch me at TikTok, you can find me at Gina Kits on TikTok. I know it's been kind of quiet on my page for a moment or two, but that's just because I've been doing a sewing project. So you'll see more Scribble stuff coming from me very shortly as I'm working on my Queen's Prize stuff. Once again, you can support us on Patreon through the patreon.com/KK Productions. And, buy stickers on Redbubble. Search KK Productions. He's always got great things. So, once again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Mistress Mirr, for filling in and being an amazing, fun, and engaging guest. I appreciate it.
Had more answers, but if anyone has any other questions, so you can feel free to message me or chat with me privately.
And she's amazing. She will help you. She will network.
Do what I can.
Oh, Varia popped on. Says, always good to see you, Mirr.
Good to see you too, Varbear.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night or whenever you happen to be watching this. Good night, everyone.